Since ancient times, heroes have fallen for beauties.
But this time, it wasn't a hero who fell.
It was a demon.
Mexico's top drug lord, young Mencho, is dead.
Not killed by a missile strike.
Not gunned down in a special forces raid. But while on a date with his mistress,
Cornered by the military in a villa.
his death instantly detonated all of Mexico. 250 roads blockaded,
81 convenience stores burned.
22 banks bombed,
Black Hawk helicopters circling over the city.
armored vehicles rolling into tourist hotspots.
With the World Cup just 4 months away, the host nation has turned into a war zone. And the beginning and end of all this traces back to one man and that woman.
Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, known in the underworld as El Mencho, in 1966,
He was born in Michoacán, Mexico.
in a dirt-poor rural village.
In the 1980s,
He was smuggled into the US, worked illegally, sold a little dope, got caught and deported, smuggled back in, caught again. At that time, he was just a low-level street clerk.
nobody gave him a second glance. After returning to Mexico, he became a police officer. Yes, you heard that right. This future bloodthirsty cartel boss
Was once
a local police officer.
in Jalisco state while patrolling Pavo corridors, and to Martha N. No one knew.
But this man would later make the entire country tremble. And then
The biggest turning point in his life,
arrived.
he married the enemy, Rosalinda González Valencia, from the Valencia family. This family were the local kingpins of Jalisco, regional drug lords.
Deeply intertwined with the local politics and economy. A single marriage took Mencho from a lowly cop
Straight into the cartel's upper echelon. He joined the Molino cartel, started as a bodyguard.
and climbed his way to mid-management. In 2010,
CJNG, the Jalisco,
New Generation Cartel
splintered away from Molino. Mencho became the boss.
over the next decade
Mencho built CJNG,
into Mexico's most terrifying criminal machine.
personal net worth $500 million to $1 billion.
Total cartel assets estimated by Mexican intelligence at $50 billion.
Their sphere of influence covers most of Mexico's territory. From drugs to illegal mining, from stealing oil to human smuggling,
From extortion to timeshare fraud.
they do it all.
His innovations.
Using drones to drop explosives. His masterpieces,
April 2015. His men ambushed.
a police convoy in Jalisco.
15 police officers killed. 5 injured. Experts evaluated the planning and execution.
As highly meticulous. A month later, his cartel used rocket launchers to directly shoot down a Mexican military helicopter. All 9 people on board died instantly.
This was the first time
In Mexican history, a cartel dared to frontally shoot down a military helicopter
the entire nation was shaken. In 2020,
in broad daylight. His hitmen used grenades and assault rifles.
to attempt the assassination of Mexico City's police chief, leaving him severely wounded,
His impact on the United States
goes far beyond that $15 million bounty. CJNG is the primary mastermind.
behind the fentanyl crisis. Every year, tons of meth, cocaine, and fentanyl flood into the US. Across all 50 US states, his distribution network is present.
Reaping billions of dollars annually.
The US placed
A $15 million bounty on him, a figure on the exact same level as El Chapo and Pablo Escobar.
but he was far more elusive than them.
Over the past decade, media tracking shows at least 3 to 4 times intelligence indicated
His location was locked down. Every single time the operation failed, either the cartel's firepower was too overwhelming, or there were internal leaks, or the intelligence was simply wrong. He lived his life.
like a ghost,
No recent photos. No one knew.
where he exactly was. If you think this level of counter-surveillance
Is even more absurd than El Chapo's. Type 1 in the chat. Until 2026, February 22nd.
Tapalpa, a mountain town,
In Jalisco, Guadalajara's wealthy businessmen, celebrities, and politicians love to vacation here on weekends. Mencho came too.
not for a cartel meeting.
He came to see his mistress,
Mexican Secretary of Defense, General Trejo,
later revealed that authorities relied on his Mexico Joint Intelligence to lock onto
a close associate of Mencho's mistress. This person brought the mistress.
to a compound in Tapalpa. On February 21st, the mistress left,
But intelligence indicated
Mencho was still inside, surrounded by bodyguards.
the military finalized deployment that night. On the 22nd, the operation began.
Mencho didn't just surrender.
He did not go quietly. He and his inner circle
Fled into the forest, firing back.
at security forces and an Air Force helicopter.
The helicopter was forced into an emergency landing. During the crossfire, Mencho was wounded while being airlifted to Mexico City.
He succumbed to his injuries.
2 bodyguards were also wounded,
In the clash,
dying en route to the hospital. 5 other cartel members died during or after,
the operation,
including a kid. Oziguera Michael, he was El Mencho's right-hand man, and also the biological father.
of the viral Mexican mukbang influencer.
Little Egg Spam. During this operation, he even offered 200 peso bounty for the life of every,
Mexican soldier killed.
but little did he know,
The military had already sealed.
Tapalpa Raid. A leaked video showed
The militants completely surrounded, with nowhere to run.
the 59-year-old Mencho, who went from a poor boy smuggled into the US to fighting his way up to the planet's most dangerous drug lord,
Finally died in the backseat of a military helicopter.
just a 2-hour flight away from the empire he built.
It truly was a rise and fall orchestrated by women.
Mencho is dead, but his machine keeps running.
And this machine began a frenzied retaliation. Instantly, the entire nation of Mexico was engulfed in flames.
At Guadalajara International Airport, gunmen attacked the surrounding area.
Travelers fled in panic. An aviation control order was issued.
A 10 nautical mile radius, below 22,000 feet, a no-fly zone for 3 days.
In Puerto Vallarta, the Costco parking lot was ablaze. Air Canada grounded all flights entirely.
Across Jalisco State,
81 convenience stores were attacked.
22 state-owned bank branches were torched. 250 roads were blocked.
Burning vehicles choked off.
Every single exit route out of the city.
National Guard convoys were ambushed. Intense gunfights erupted on the streets. Secretary of Security Harvage
Reported 25 National Guardsmen killed, and 30 cartel members gunned down.
CJNG members shouted on the streets, "Do not leave your homes. This filthy government is going to ruin you all. We have orders."
To kill anyone who stands in our way.
Patients fled hospitals in terror.
Civilians were hijacked at gunpoint to surrender their vehicles, forced to watch helplessly as their cars.
Were used to build barricades. On social media,
A video went viral, showing SWAT teams and cartel members ramming cars on the streets, looking exactly like Grand Theft Auto.
in another video,
A Black Hawk helicopter,
equipped with a minigun, opened fire over the city.
with a firing rate of 3,000 to 6,000 rounds per minute.
The Mexican government deployed elite special forces, the BATS.
They are preparing for urban combat.
The US Embassy issued an emergency alert.
US citizens,
Shelter in place. The Mexican peso opened on Monday.
with a 0.45% drop. Mencho is dead.
So who is the happiest? The US White House Press Secretary Caroline.
Leave It immediately issued a statement.
El Mencho was the top target for both the Mexican and US governments as one of the primary traffickers.
Of fentanyl,
President Trump has made it very clear that the United States will ensure narco-terrorist base. The justice they are long overdue.
the Trump administration designated CJNG a foreign terrorist organization.
In February 2025, even earlier, Trump declared, if Mexico wants help
Dealing with the cartels,
we would be honored to do it ourselves. Mexican President Sheinbaum refused on sovereignty grounds.
but in this operation, the US still intervened.
Both the Mexican embassy in the US and the White House admitted that Mencho's death was backed by US intelligence.
However, ironically, 80% of Sing's weapons come from the United States.
The Mexican Secretary of Defense stated this himself. These weapons flow from gun shops in the southern US to the black market, smuggled down into Mexico.
50 caliber Barrett sniper rifles,
40mm grenade launchers,
rocket launchers. Every single piece is capable of killing Mexican forces, and the money CJNG makes also primarily comes from the US. Fentanyl, meth, and cocaine pour into the US.
exchange for billions of dollars.
In all 50 US states,
CJNG operates a distribution network.
Chicago, Los Angeles,
Atlanta, Houston, Dallas.
all other territories. Weapons come from the US.
Drugs go to the US.
Money is made from the US. This criminal empire in a certain sense, is being fed and bred by the United States, shouting for drug prohibition on one hand, while handing guns and money to the cartels on the other.
If you think the US is reaping what it sowed,
Type 2 in the chat.
now that Mencho is dead, his successors,
Are already stepping up.
the decapitation strategy, has a fatal flaw.
When you take out the top leader, the people below will fight to carve up the empire, battering each other bloody. Mencho ruled CJNG for 15 years. He led the organization with almost a cult of personality. But he never designated an heir. Now the power vacuum has appeared.
Who will ascend?
Currently, 2 names have surfaced. The first goes by the alias Yoghurt, 29 years old.
Former captain of Mencho's personal death squad. Last May, the Mexican Navy launched a raid in Michoac N,
Attempting to capture him.
his men fought back fiercely.
12 CJNG hitmen killed. 3 Marines injured.
9 hitmen captured, but he escaped,
He is reputed to be
even more brutal than Mencho. The second one, Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez, alias EL03. He is Mencho's stepson. Born in California, a US citizen. He commands Scene's elite. Armed wing.
The US placed a $5 million bounty on him, and his mother, Rosalinda,
Is the very woman from that marriage years ago,
who brought Mencho from a low-level cop.
straight into the drug lord elite. She was released from prison just months ago, made by this woman, and in the end, this $50 billion drug empire
Still fell back into the hands of this woman and her son. He is deeply connected to the financial network of the Valencia family.
the Los Queenies.
This family
Is the core money laundering force for CJNG,
a new generation, more ambitious, more familiar with the US, backed by the entire family.
is taking over CJNG. Each successor is more ruthless than the last.
If you think the impending violence in Mexico,
Is only going to escalate.
type 3 in the chat. Mencho is dead, but CJNG is not.
It merely changed its face.
In 4 months,
The World Cup will be hosted in Mexico.
but Mexico right now looks like an apocalypse. How can fans from all over the world come?
The Mexican government is panicking.
The armed Manta
Amphibious assault ship,
just arrived in Puerto Vallarta. 400 troops,
amphibious vehicles, rapid landing capabilities,
Air Force tactical jets, and Black Hawk helicopters.
circle over the city.
This tourist city
Famous for its beaches and margaritas,
is now patrolled by warships,
and armored vehicles. On the streets of Guadalajara,
heavily armed convoys.
shuttle back and forth. President Sheinbaum said, the situation has calmed down today, and all roadblocks have been cleared.
But analysts warn that Scene's influence has penetrated the majority of Mexico's 32 states. Mencho is dead.
But the power vacuum will trigger a bloodier internal war. Several factions will fight for turf,
Other drug cartels will.
seize the opportunity to scavenge.
The violence will only escalate.
It will not end. From the Guadalajara cartel in the 1970s to El Chapo come in and down to Mencho, every time a major drug lord falls,
This drug war
has never truly ended. It is merely reshuffled. The next Mencho.
is already on the way. In 4 months,
Will the referee's whistle of the World Cup be drowned out by gunfire on the streets?
we do not know. We only know that one Mencho falls.
But the ones who ultimately pay the price for the violence will always be the ordinary civilians on the streets of Mexico who just want a peaceful life. Mexico's war is far from over. After all, history has proven countless times
Drug lords will die.
but the drug war never will. Me.
远未结，毕竟历史无数次证明，无消溃死。